Remind me.
I knew that by heart. Well, I think Ed was a little off to the races.
Oh, I know it's fast. Why you get to be my size, you eat fast, you go fast.
Okay. Let's see here. Organizational book and appointments. We're gonna do that first, or we want to do the treasurer's report? Does it matter?
We'll flex it.
All right, why don't we do treasurer's report?
Speaking of garbage cans, I remember I came in and I tried to get the garbage cans for Jack Garvey and, this week time.
We got them
I
before.
was one of the last guys to visit with him, so I had a nice, half an hour, 45-minute visit with him. So, yeah. Is his wife, still in the Brewster house?
Well, I don't know.
'Cause I think that's where she was, 'cause that's what he told me. And then, he wanted garbage cans, and all of a sudden, bam. Oh, well.
We did present the 65-year pin to the family today, and they put it right on his uniform, so.
That's great. That's nice.
Yeah, I liked it, like, I fixed a bunch of chairs for him, and we used to go over and visit. Yeah,
All right.
I'd like to thank everybody that helped out with the senior luncheon.
Yeah, it was tremendous.
That worked
I
out.
thought it was just like chocolate.
Yeah,
80 people, that's pretty good.
It was perfect.
yeah.
It was a good turnout.
Maureen, who organized all the food and helped with reservations, and Anderson, for the catering, and of course, everybody here that helped serve. And I think more importantly, I think for me was Chief Pittman and Tim Maxson from the fire department, who gave great presentations on holiday safety
Yes.
and such.
I'll make a motion, we accept the treasurer's report as written.
Awesome.
Discussion, all in favor? All right. The organizational book and the appointments.
I talked briefly with Dan about this, but usually we double up on some of the appointments with 2 trustees per. And so for police and water and sewer, we just have Ed.
That's all you need.
You humble bastard.
I've been eating worms at the house.
Gummy worms don't count.
No, yeah. I think Tim used to do it, so, and, it might be,
I would be more than happy
oh, maybe you were on
to do either one.
Yeah, just
So
a
water and sewer is new, and Ed volunteered because of the meter project, so he would come down.
Right.
So, and then we never added one.
So in the past, I've got the old 2017. Kevin, you were on that for.
I would be very happy with
Okay.
one or both.
And then, yeah, so like the code project and the water sewer project, I had one, Ed had the other one. If we want to add anybody else, if anybody else wants to come onto those. That might be good for since we're doing the water sewer big project coming up. That might be good to have somebody else. Or not,
Which big water sewer project?
Aren't we doing the, when we have Barton Lagoons?
Another 4.5 million we're spending. So, you would need to
Yeah.
get the audit policy, because, if Ed isn't around, then the other, so it has to be one of the chairs on it that has to approve a check in between.
Well, I can be on it, right?
Mhm.
You can just put me on water sewer then. I'll back up that.
Hey,
And then codes were moving along like a glacier, but we're moving. If anybody wants to.
That's a tough one.
I'll back you up on that.
All right.
I'll be glad to read the book.
That's coming soon. That'll be in the new year.
The only person on street lighting is Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, we only ever had one person, I think, on street lighting.
That was
But
kind
now
of,
we own it and have to deal with the new aspect of it, the maintenance. So now
Right,
you own it, so you probably need
that
another.
was,
And-
that was
Need
kind
someone
of,
who could drive around and check them to it.
that was kind of Timmy's
Yeah,
specialty.
and Tim, like you said, Tim had the specialty in the background for it. He
Yeah.
could probably do it by himself.
Yeah, exactly.
right.
Um,
I could do it, I guess. I don't know a whole lot about it.
You can
take
drive
turns
a lot.
driving around.
Anybody, you know.
So is Ed volunteering for that?
You just did.
Okay.
Thank you, Ed.
It's okay. See, now I can fight with the mayor over where all these cameras go and stuff, because over on the street, like,
Sure.
we had these discussions before, so.
It didn't stop you in the past.
I think everybody can have an opinion whether your name is on.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I know that.
but there are,
Just kidding.
there are issues where if a resident, they call it in and
Yep, so what happens if the light's a day burner or there's no light, they're supposed to call it in. We have to get the poll number to
Right.
put in a ticket and a picture. So Streets goes around, Dan's helping to manage it too, besides Phil. And then, I put in tickets but the problem is, for instance, the poles on Robstand Drive that have to be replaced, it will take 4 months. So by the time you have to order it, then they have to connect with grid and get it turned on, it takes up to 4 months. So we also ordered 137 North Main. Cause that's the very end of the village and there's no light on the pole. And so, we ordered that, it started a month ago and it's not supposed to be done till February or March.
is there anything they can do to decrease that time frame? No.
Not that I'm told, because a lot of it takes them, because the contractors don't come out here every day. So I put in a ticket for when they come out, and they come out like once a month. And then they do that, and then they evaluate if it really is. So the day burners, they usually can just fix, or most of them, but this one had no light. So first they have to come out and figure out how to get it turned on, then they have to put tickets into grid and everything in the ordering.
Okay,
Dan, at the top, Elizabeth McGrath's term should be for 2023.
That's the year it expires.
Right, she just won election, so that's the year that it expires for her.
Okay, it was just the 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've also made a change for the recreation committee. We meet on the third Thursday at 5.
And where do you meet at that for that?
Right here.
Okay, so that's town hall.
I see that Joe Condon,
Mhm.
is he the big guy?
Yeah. And
We used to live right behind him. He's a super nice guy,
great.
good fit.
Does anybody see anything else on the order?
Very good.
And I know that his heart is into it.
Mhm.
It's a good choice. Really good.
Everybody good with the report, with the org and admin?
Yeah,
Elizabeth, any other corrections?
No.
I make a motion that we accept the order book and appointments as amended.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, very good. Okey-doke.
Which one's the,
Yes, sir.
correct me if I'm wrong, so it's Elizabeth in 2020, so yourself, myself, and her would be up for election
Correct.
this coming 22.
You got it. We're gonna run on a thing called the Cool People's Party.
As long as it's not independence, you're.
Yeah. that's right.
All right,
Okay, video.
third word to the floor, once, twice, thrice. Old business, new business. Martin. We're ready to hear about history.
The gentleman who's first to be exempt. He is.
I'm ready.
Yeah, well, you've already had 3.
You journal.
The one time I don't wear a sport coat. The rest of you wear sport.
We're taking.
Well, look at it.
No,
Picture night.
none of them was getting right.
It's all balanced, Martin. If you'd worn a sport coat today, would have thrown you.
That's right. Seems to be spinning. Okay, so this is my end of the year report, just in time to get it to Albany by the end of the calendar year. You all have a copy? Or not? You can follow along. Otherwise, we have copies. Thanks a lot.
They're sent out. They were not printed for tonight. Apologies.
Okay.
I would put out your attention, just like in school.
Well, I'm gonna follow, skipping around, now I can do everything.
Yeah.
Administrative
Just the
tasks.
highlights.
I continue to file clippings in the newspaper and the Homer News. I continue to receive artifacts and ephemera from all over the place for people want me to determine what happens. Does it go to the curb? Does it stay here? Does it go to one of the historical museums? And of course, I try to respond to requests from municipal officers, sundry agencies, and members of the public. As far as news clippings, I want to show you what the file looks like, starting in March of 2020, on just the COVID in Homer Village in town.
Oh,
What is that, 2.5 inches thick? When can I stop? Number of office visits, only 3 this past year, 2 with Ed Rouse and 1 with Malin Ivers Jr., and they all dealt with the matter of historic preservation issues. Number of phone, email inquiries received and answered, estimated 23. If you have the paper here, you'd see that I've only given examples of what the range of requests are like. For example, on October 27th, 2021, I received a request from a civil engineer who wanted to know the dates of construction of all the schools in the Homer Central School District and subsequent upgrades. And I provided it by the end of the day.
Wow.
This next thing is really fascinating. Received a letter dated October 21st. Received it at my office in early November from a descendant in California of Homer's Jedediah and Matilda Barber. He was trying to decide at his young age of 91 what to do with a family heirloom, a portrait of the descendant of the Barbers that our Francis B. Carpenter had painted soon after his return from Syracuse, where he's being mentored by a famous portrait painter, Sanford Thayer. After lengthy negotiations, the gentleman agreed to accept $4,000 from me personally, not from the town or the village, for me, for the portrait, payable in 2 equal amounts. He wants to sell it for the money to keep him going as long as he's got to go. His relatives want him to leave the painting to them, but here's where it gets messy. Added to this was a man of questionable scruples who claimed to be his pastor and was representing him regarding the portrait. Because of him, and at the advice of the gentleman's caregiver, who I spoke with by phone, I bowed out of the situation. The pastor had broken into the man's apartment. An interesting pastor. No way is he a man of the cloth. So, and I know I have not had contact with him since. I assumed that the relatives will be getting their way, and it's all right. But we almost had another Carpenter.
Hey, we know where it is.
When we don't know where it is.
Well, in California.
Well, not relatives don't live there, and they go off with it if they've lost track of where it might be.
And got the guy's name, you could probably search the route.
If the FBI is working on it.
Yeah.
Well, there might not be a whole lot of high bidders, so you might be getting another call.
Well,
Who's still.
I think it's something that they probably wanna pass on down the line, and that's okay.
Yeah.
In January, I received email from Mary Kimberly, who's McGraw's historian, regarding a proposed booklet of stories to be compiled by all the historians of the county for publication. I immediately sent in my 3 favorites, and at this point, there's no evidence that this book is ever gonna reach fruition. Not all the rest of the historians feel the way I do, or don't have the material I have to work with, you know. On January 5th, received an email from a former student, Morgan Du Bois, who expressed an interest in conducting guided walking tours of historic Homer. I told him I'm no longer giving tours. I told him to contact the one who is, Kathy Beardsley. And he did end up participating in a tour for 4th graders. And he dressed up in costume. Yes, yes.
He's a local
I know
boy?
he's a good boy.
Yes, yeah,
He's a local guy?
yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You should,
He's got a brother that, bought the Italianate house on, South Main, the town Canoble.
Canova
Oh,
School House.
But this one, I think he lives on Cortlandt Street. Not sure where, but yes, does he? Okay. Then on March 16th, I received email indicating Homer's Cardiff Giant from 1958 had to be removed from its present housing. After several emails, I arranged for the Landmark Society to take ownership and to store it at the village DPW facilities. But the Center for the Arts acquired it before the day was out. The giant has a new home, and that's all that matters. On April 16th, received an email request from Dr. Pam Poulin of Preble to assist her and Larry Nye in getting a historic marker funded by the Pomeroy Foundation for the Little Red Schoolhouse in Little York. You probably didn't even notice there's one there. And it's no longer red, it's faded, and it's back away from the road. But I agreed to do so and explained the time frame to be followed to apply, and that's been initiated. So the town of the village may have another marker to install this spring. On May 18th, got an email request for knowledge of any past environmental hazards at 85 Southwest Street, Homer. I indicated it was agricultural land prior to its present disposition. On June 20th, received an email from the owner of the Stoddard birth site saying the historic marker was missing. I explained it was due for rehabilitation and it would be returned looking like new. And she emailed me when that was done. People do care. On August 16th, received a message by email from Ed Rouse that the historic plaque for the site of the Whedon block, that's the building that burned, on Main Street, had been installed per the request I made of Jamie Eamon. I visited that evening to confirm the plaque was there, and who comes driving by but David Yeaman, pulled up in his car, and I went over and asked him to please thank Jamie for following through, and he kindly thanked me for my services. In mid-October, at Russ Darr's suggestion, I contacted Karen Jan, the new owner of the Temperance Tavern at Main and Albany Streets, to discuss her desire to have a historic marker on her property. I agreed to assist her. The process has begun, and the village may have another marker to install in the spring. So I've got 2 going now. People are knocking on the door saying, what's the history of my property? And can I get an oval?
And there's the kiosks that go on.
Yes, yes. Yes, you got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, number of municipal meetings attended, 6. Some examples here on August 3rd, I attended the town board meeting to present my book, The Heart of Central New York, and give personalized signed copies to the officials present. On August 9th, I did the same for you folks. On October 6th, I attended and spoke at a public hearing hosted by the village to obtain input and endorsement of the seeking of, I think it's $2 million in funds to restore Sig Sawtelle Circus House in the south end of Main Street. The board voted to seek the funding. Have we heard anything?
No, not yet.
Not yet. And on October 11th, I attended the village board meeting via Zoom to be present for the transfer of title to the Little White Church Community Center from the village to the Homer Center for the Arts in perpetuity. This should cause a greater ability secured, I would think, to secure funds to preserve this architectural and historic gem on the Homer Green. Number of meetings out of office, 11, and these are just some examples. On February 15th, I took a donated Sig's Hotel Circus poster to Syracuse Blueprint. The technician stated he would not touch the artifact because of its huge size and delicate fragility. If it had been a colorful Sawtelle poster with a snarling lion, I would have taken it to the Westlake Conservators, but they are costly. So the item will not be mounted, framed, and displayed at the town hall. Instead, it will be wrapped up in acid-free plastic and consigned to the archives, except for special occasions such as now. I was hoping it was going to be a lion, but no, it's not. So, as John Parrott had told me, that was typical.
You need help?
Typical block printing done at the time. Early 1900s. These ripping, even as I talk. Get the idea?
Oh, wow.
Gotta get a look at it now.
Why could we do something like that, put it behind some plexiglass, something that'd be archival?
Well, I was thinking more in terms of where I would love to see it is in the Sawtelle Circus House.
When you
If that got
something
renovated.
Yeah.
And of course, I would love to see that as a visitor center, just off the ramp. I don't think that's ever gonna happen, but that's historians.
One of my plans.
That's a good idea, though. I did put it behind him.
So maybe we'll just hold on to it and hopefully we get that grant. And then if we get the grant, we can use a little bit of the grant money to,
Get it.
Stabilize it,
Make it back.
Yeah. Put it behind
It's gonna be hard,
plexiglass
And
and
like,
mounting
At
boards.
least find a way to preserve it, so you don't have to do that.
Yeah, so you don't have to fold it ever again. One more time and that's it.
I gotta fold it better than that. I'll do that later. It was actually donated originally to Anna Hilton by Circus Buff, he called it, from Lock, New York, I believe. And then some of her effects such as that ended up with Russ Starr, and he handed it to me and said, you do it, you can do with that. So I thought I'd go to Syracuse and see what they could do, and they said, oh.
You know, with the history of that place, we gotta do something.
Yeah.
It's got so.
Well, that and the gun room, the Brockway.
have a good,
Can I interrupt you for a
Feeling.
second? You can tell me to shut up, but one of the thoughts I had, of course, the glassmith got sold this summer, so.
Yeah, we
summer. Yeah, and because I wanted to maybe ask for DRI money or something to buy it.
the glassmith, I thought the welding place got sold.
The welding place.
I was told.
No,
by-
it's the glassmith. I know Steve, I talked to him.
Yeah, it's the glassmith, because we talked to, what's his name, the lawyer, someplace the other day, and he said, oh, at our meeting, when you and I were sitting there, when they were talking, at the, when the, Micron stuff, and he said,
I thought it was the welding supply company.
no, he said it was, because I'd like to see buying that building for the, because right now the museum that we have, and it's very nice of Key Bank, but it's just packed.
Well, yeah, well,
And I'm thinking of, we ought to maybe work, you tell me, shut up.
shut up. I know, I think we got, McNeil is, I think Dr. Stedden. I'll talk to you later.
So I was thinking, the Lehigh needs to have their own facility someplace, and I thought that would be perfect. That building, because it's right off the exit, it's entrance to the town. Well, I thought that was gonna be other things. No, okay, I would have liked that too.
That's why.
All right, moving on.
Yeah.
Good, you can continue. Sorry, I'm kidding. Thanks, Greg.
See all this excitement
As
about.
long as we're talking history, that's a matter, right?
Can take work.
On May 3rd, I was interviewed by phone by a reporter working for Central New York, a periodical. A final copy for me to fact check was emailed to me on June 1st. 2 copies of the magazine were received by me on July 2nd. The village received 1 and the town the other. On July 18th, accepting invitation of 2 married former students, both of them were former students, to see the inside and the outside of the hedges. That's on South Main Street. They had purchased that and the carriage in the carriage house. They had brought forth after who knows how many years for public display during holiday in Homer. Now, I was age 14, the last time I ever was inside this magnificent house and stole a peek of the carriage in the carriage house. I would cut through the property to go up Center Street to go to the high school, grade 7 through 12. And finally, I got enough guts to take a peek inside the carriage house. There's this carriage that I had just read about in the local history shelf in Phillips Free Library. I think that's when I got the bug. It was like, okay, the past is alive. Look at this carriage. The rats were doing a good job on it, taking out the horsehair and straw and so forth, but carriage is still there. The interior renovations to the house are stunning, and the exterior is well preserved. I even got to go past the attic to stand atop the open structure on the roof. What a view of Homer from up there. In recent years, some of my former students have returned to occupy homes in the historic district and have expressed the desire to preserve the exteriors. And for this, I am most pleased, including Jedediah Barber's mansion. She was a former student. Let's see. On August 10th, I was interviewed by phone for a segment to be aired the next morning on the Homer radio station regarding the release of my book, The Heart of Central New York. School classroom lectures and presentations, I was asked to fact check the scripts for guided walking tours put together by Kathy Beardsley and grade 4 Homer teachers. And I did that. Under historical publications, I continued to run a column on Homer history in the Homer News, which is published every other week. I guess you all know it's going to take new ownership.
Oh, really?
First of the year.
No, I did not know that.
Maybe I wasn't supposed to say anything here, but we're near the end of the year.
But that's good though.
It's gonna keep going.
Been wanting to
It's
get
gonna
it.
keep going, and they've asked me to keep going.
Is that who's gonna take it over? That's great.
Now, I publicly, never careful what you say publicly. I publicly stated I would help Catherine Frail of Portland to get a cookbook published of Nellie Randall, the Homerite who fed the U.S. top brass in Washington, D.C. during World War II. Printed copies without a copyright are in circulation. But the legal opinion we found out is our attempt to get the book published and copywritten, albeit for charitable purposes, would be fraught with peril from any descendants who would claim the book as part of Nellie's estate. Thus, that project terminated. In September, Rowan and Littlefield agreed to publish my biography of Albert Haskell Jr., who was the county district attorney in the 1920s. He's credited with driving the KKK out of the county. He was an assemblyman during the violent milk strikes of the 1930s. He was the impetus for making Cortland the typewriter capital of the world. And he was an ardent lobbyist for Interstate 81 to pass through the county rather than a route being proposed by other people further east of us. They wanted it to go up to Utica rather than to Syracuse. Now, he was the father of my late aunt, Jean Haskell Sweeney. Her daughter, Colleen, and Joe Haskell Jr. provided me with a trove of Haskell scrapbooks to write the book. When I first wrote this, the current issue was the packet of images I had sent for inclusion in the book were lost by UPS. Sent from the publisher, probably a distance to Syracuse, to Washington, D.C., where the book would be actually physically produced. I managed to get copies of all the images except for 3. Joe Haskell was working on that for me, when finally I got an email that said, miracle, they've arrived. Now that meant, of course, I lost time. I was hoping to have this out by Christmas. Instead, it's not gonna come out till May, but better late than never. So. Oh, you already know that, for Heritage Tourism Projects, the Pomeroy Foundation did give us approval for grant money to install a historic marker at 29 Cuba Street, where Arnold's Forest was first organized in 1892, not 1893, as believed for decades. I think maybe it's a case of things were legally concluded 1892, probably by the end of the year, and then the first of the year they began to actually serve the public and provide floral arrangements for all occasions. And let's see, acquisitions. We've got lots of acquisitions, but I'll comment on 7 of them. October 26th, I received from Police Chief Pittman a copy of a page from the Documents of the Senate of the State of New York, 1917, containing a report submitted by the Chief Inspector regarding the village lockup in Homer as of November 2nd, 1916. A member of the police department found this item with a description of the 3 steel jail cells on the first floor of the town hall, and that the number of arrests the previous year did not exceed 8. I wonder how that compares to now. The stuff people come up with is just amazing. And when I write about something, people say, where did you find this stuff? I say, no, it finds me. So it works.
Yeah, you gotta be planted where they can find you. Yeah, if they can find you, they will.
Yeah.
So the police station was originally in this. pool?
Yeah. At that time, 1917. Right.
No, it's coming back.
Deja vu.
Yeah,
All over
yeah,
again.
everything cycles back. And let's see. Okay, so it was December that Russ Dower donated the 6 hotel poster. And on February 9th, I received a photocopy from Police Chief Pittman of a photo of former village mayor Fay G. Simmons standing in front of Heffron's Candy Store on Main Street. The photo was given to the chief by Simmons' grandson, Joel Mercer. And this will go into the archives.
I remember going to have.
I do too, and this is happening, I'll say, how much money you got on you?
Yeah.
And you better not leave that store until you bought some gum or something the dentist would appreciate.
The counter with a little soda. pop?
Yes, oh yeah, cherry cokes,
Yes, absolutely.
let's talk. We'll reminisce for a while. March 28th, I received a signed copy of Amelia Stone Quinton and Women's National Indian Association, A Legacy of Indian Reform by Dr. Valerie Schurer Mathis. Quinton spent her childhood on Pine Street in the village and was schooled at the Baptist Church and the Academy on the Green. She went on to be a powerful voice in America on behalf of assimilating Indians out west into American life and Christianity. Today, those efforts at reform are frowned upon in some circles. But in the context of her times, Quinton followed her religious and moral tenets in lifting up the lives of dispossessed indigenous peoples. She's buried in Glenwood Cemetery. In the book, Dr. Mathis was kind enough to credit me for bringing to her attention a valuable cache of Quinton's letters discovered in Homer's public library, and that's now part of a collection at Cornell University. The biography will be placed with other print resources in the office here. On August 30th, from his extensive map collection, the town of Homer attorney, Pat Snyder, donated to the town a map of Cortland County by David H. Barr, dated January 5th, 1829. That day, it was mounted on a wall of the public historian's office. So Pat was kind enough to say, I want you to come down to the office. And I've been there before and seen his collection. He's got maps like you wouldn't believe. They go way back. When I say this was 1829. And he said, take any one you want. I said, now, if you were in my shoes, which one would you take? The oldest? He said, definitely. I said, so will I. So This is the one we've got.
Let's see who owned my property then, because I can't read the deeds. I figured it out to 1834. My house is supposed to go to 1810. And I can't read it anymore.
This is the county, and I can't.
Oh, that's
do-
the county.
can't do-
Oh,
I can't
county.
do post
I
up.
thought you said Homer. I thought you said
This is
Homer.
not digital. I can't do close up.
No.
You're gonna have a lot of trouble with that.
I've been wanting to see this since you showed it to me.
Okay.
Wow, 1829.
Then at the end of September, Mary Dexter of Cortland and I exchanged published books. She was gifted with My Heart of Central New York, and she donated to the archives hers entitled On the Trail of Coffin Man, Researching 19th Century Gravestone Carvers of Central New York. Copyright 2020. There are a few references to gravestones in Glenwood Cemetery. So she's devoted her life pretty much to traipsing through Central New York cemeteries and come up with this incredible book with diagrams and statistics like you wouldn't believe. Pretty impressive. And she found out the names of some of these people who made a living going around putting inscriptions on gravestones. They had their own figure style, iconography. In October, Douglas Reynolds donated a map indicating names of those who purchased lots in the Westfield Cemetery. Just the names of those who purchased the lots, not necessarily who was buried there. I would have preferred to have gotten that, but then it gives you something to trace it back to. In mid-October, Richard Palmer emailed wording from the Syracuse Daily Star of July 16th and 17th, 1848, on the use of a steamboat on Skaneateles Lake as part of a transportation route to bring you to Homer. This will be archived and used in a future article in the Homer News. Yeah, this didn't make it into this report, but basically it's in this time period that I used village money to get this. The main floor blueprint service house. Now, I think there's one available that shows the second floor, but it's basically just a smaller empty octagonal space. I don't want to spend any money on that when this is.
Amazing.
Yeah. Remember when that was a restaurant too?
I do.
What's happening? Anyone else want to take a closer look or?
That's when the Tracy.
Yes, bakery and restaurant.
Good spot.
Okay, folks. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good work. Wow.
I'll make a motion that we accept the annual historian
Oh,
report.
I would be honored in second.
All right, thank you very much, Martin. All in favor?
Aye.
Wow. Yeah, I think we ought to, put a couple pennies to fix that up and get some archival plexiglass and a big piece of, paper. And I'm sure an art store can do archival paper in the back, so it's acid free. You know, and we got carpenters around that can make a frame if you had to. Doesn't have to be fancy. That should be left open and not touched anymore.
Right.
Saying.
No, I agree. All right, attorney. Anything, John?
Okay. Yep, I'm here. I had to unmute. I don't have anything for the regular meeting.
Still haven't heard from the comptroller's office?
Tanya and I have been back and forth on this. I also left them a message. Neither one of us has gotten a call back. Tanya, I think, has tried a couple times. I've only tried once.
It's, my person that I emailed. She said she would pass it on, and that was last Wednesday, so now it's been a week, so I'll go back to her and ask her to.
Okay.
Monica Ryan from Department of State told me to call tomorrow if we don't hear from them, and she would call them also on top of you doing that. She's been trying to help me because when you call the legal, they now went remote. So you can't even get to an operator. When I first called, you could, and they were saying like have the lawyer call. Now it goes to a voicemail that you leave. And they're working at home. So she emailed me this afternoon, in between me leaving and coming back, and said to call her tomorrow if no one calls, and she'll call them herself.
Okay,
So,
very good. All right, comments by board members, Edward.
I did send out to everybody a little document to get us kick-started on garbage truck discussions, so hopefully you guys will start emailing or we'll bring it up to a work session or something, just to work a plan.
We should do a work session in January.
Okay, yeah, because as far as I understand, you can get a truck within a year if you want, not electric. But whatever. All right, moving on. Let's see what else. I thought the parade was great. I saw the Santa Claus go by. I saw the Grinch in the back seat of the police car where he belongs. Did a good job. Around my street, Warren Street, watching them go by and waving. Of course, nobody came out and grabbed me, thank God. I've seen how small the back seats of those police cars are, but anyhow, don't want to be there. That's good. Thank you all for doing such a great job this last year as our new member. And of course, our existing members are always outstanding, and of course, their staff is wonderful. So thank you all and Merry Christmas.
All right. We'll save Pat for last, so we've got the list. Elizabeth.
Oh, gosh, I don't really have much to add, but I'm so happy to be wrapping up my first year with the board and for all that we've done and are looking forward to doing in 2023. It's just an exciting group to be a part of, and the people who work for the village and live in the village care so passionately about making Homer a great place. It's a wonderful place for me to be raising my family.
Good.
Super.
That's nice.
So that means I'm next.
You're next.
Well, it's just a pleasure to have you as a member. So thank you for coming aboard. Just to touch on that, that's lots of comments on the parade. Just get continuous flow about the lighting downtown. That's amazing to drive through there and see all that going on. Are we gonna do anything special because of Christmas coming up? The garbage thing might become an issue because there's so many different things that won't go to recyclable our trash, and it's gonna be difficult.
So,
These people
Mike-
figure that out.
yeah, Mike is actually going around Wednesday and Thursday checking them. We're putting, things on Facebook Friday
That's a good.
about the guidelines again and about breaking down boxes, that the lids have to be closed, because last Christmas, even at employees' houses that I saw driving in, there were big boxes of TVs and they're there when they get home.
You gotta admit it,
Yeah.
that's gonna be hard.
Yep, and so, and reminding people to break them down to get them in, and honestly, the nice thing with recyclables, most people actually don't fill it each week. So even if a couple have to be held, it's not as bad, but that's why Mike is going around Wednesday and Thursday to them all
I was,
and
not to
fixing up.
interrupt you, but I was looking it up and there's different wrapping papers that are
Yep,
recyclable and some that go in trash, and I don't know how.
almost all of our wrapping paper goes in the garbage, because it has to be, because if there's anything like the other types of paper or the sparkly,
Right.
they're all garbage.
Oh, sure.
I think it might be
Yeah.
just safe to say for everybody with wrapping paper, put it in the garbage.
Yep.
So, Mike is coming home Monday or Tuesday, and Wednesday and Thursday, I actually have him going around the whole village instead of spot checking, which we normally just do spot checking for this week.
Yeah, okay, cool. Thanks.
Mhm.
Fun.
All right, I know Tim, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. So we had the issue at the fire department with the drain,
Mhm.
and they were working on it today. And it seems to be a bit more extensive, as always, than we thought. Tim, do you want to add anything to that? So anyways,
Well,
go ahead.
I'm out of the loop, just fill me in.
So in the back vestibule, where you entered the day room, the drain was cracked.
It's a floor drain?
It's a floor drain, but it's cracked around it, so thing was just gonna go in, fix that, re-level it, so it didn't become a trip hazard type of thing. So, but as they went in there, it's, they You got a concrete foundation on one side, and you got a concrete foundation on the other side, and in between it's a mess. And they're saying that the drain line itself is deteriorating beyond the structure and will require work.
It's not a sewer issue though.
No, it's a drain. But, so I talked with Tim earlier this evening, and my suggestion was that have Buzz go over and talk with Ron. Have, two water guys talk to each other, and then Buzz can give us, his recommendation as the subject matter expert. Tim, anything to add to that?
I kind of caught some of that. Did he think that that's why it's heaping in the entrance area too? Is that what I heard?
Yes.
Because that was the one Wade was gonna come fix. And if that's part of one deal, then we got a big mess. Because I know that what I thought they were talking about is the one in the basement going back to the sewer system.
Back, yes.
Oh, right, yeah, this is the one in the back.
It may not be connected to.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, because Wade's coming in next week and after Christmas there and was gonna start working on that, but they think it's gonna be one big problem. Maybe we should get up with Wade and Ron. I can get a hold of both of them next week. I mean, it's obviously gonna be kind of hard this week with Christmas coming. And because they got a DSNY anyways to dig what they want to dig. And that's 3 business days. So that brings you right to, they're not gonna be able to touch it till next week now anyways.
Yeah,
The rest of it,
I'd coordinate Tim just to make sure.
but
think
I
he's
would,
coming tomorrow, because that's what he said when he came. to
what's
dig.
that?
I think he's coming tomorrow to dig that. They already had
can't-
it marked. And
Well, they
he already called them, because he came in today to tell Dan and I.
Well, they can't dig because they want to go, if they want to go 27 feet, they're going to be going across electric, they're going to be going across water, they're going to be going across gas. And if they, and DSNY will have to give 3 days, you got to give them 3 days notification to come mark it all out. So they got to mark, he's got to put down today what he wants, where he wants to dig, mark it out, get a hold of Dig Safe New York or DSNY, whatever you want to call them now, call 811. If that's a 3-day project to even, before he can even touch the ground with a backhoe or anything. Because there's a lot of stuff down through there and they got electric that goes from there right down to the community building. And by doing without DSNY last time, they dug it up and actually set an alarm off to the alarm company. And we had a tough time getting it shut off because it
I
kept
would
sending alarms.
call
So
him.
they're not gonna be able to dig now till this is, if he calls it in tomorrow, that's Tuesday, that's Thursday, Friday, and Monday's a holiday, so they got till next Wednesday to do it.
I'm just
That's
telling
why-
you, he told us he was digging tomorrow and he already called it in.
We can dig some of it,
So-
maybe.
Who's doing
Yeah.
this?
Ron Dandy.
Ron Dandy.
You can dig
So
some
I
of
would
it.
call him tomorrow morning is all.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna say nothing, but I'd be very cautious because if you call it in, they have 3 business days to come do it, and you can't touch that for 72 hours. Not that I go to a school we gotta do a school every year to do this, but that's their policy. So I don't know what, I can't say. I mean, went to calling hours today and then went right to work, so I didn't get the chance to go down there. And I found it out on the way to work, so.
He came in during calling hours.
Ron.
I mean, I can call Ron after I hang up and get off this thing with you guys, but I'm pretty sure if he marked it out, DSNY, you can't dig in New York State for 3 days.
Just give him a call, Tim.
Yep.
I will, and I will see if he thinks that's part of the other problem, because I better coordinate with both of them to get together to do this instead of finding out after he gets his done, Wade comes in and starts doing just to level that out, and that's a problem going back into the other thing. Then we're gonna have another bigger problem. So I will try to get all this taken care of. And fortunately, tomorrow I'll be in a funeral, so I'll call Ron right now when I hang up, when I get it done talking to you guys.
Thank you, Tim.
All right, sorry, gentlemen. If I don't talk to anybody, happy holidays.
You too.
All right, thanks. I'm gonna call him right now. Bye.
All right.
The second thing I had was, we've got the ice rink set up and I know people are anxious to get on there. However, talking with Phil today, we're supposed to have warm weather and rain on Friday.
Nature's and bony.
So he is hoping for the freeze after that, that we can, yeah. go-
Saturday's supposed to be 9 degrees,
Yeah.
so is Sunday, so.
So he's got a little bit of concern about the rink being overfilled and,
Okay.
but
I was thinking about that. What does that really mean? Right? If it's overfilled, well, it'll just eventually just go over the sides, right?
he's concerned about water pressure blowing out the walls.
Blowing out the walls.
It's ice.
Well, it won't be ice until Saturday.
It's only what, 8 inches thick?
Can we just pump some of it off?
Well, he's keeping an eye on it. They'll figure something out. But
Yeah, we should
I
look,
got
we
a
should,
pump.
yeah, we should check with the company and see if that's
Yeah,
what you'd be worried about.
Or a valve in the side or something.
Like a cooler.
yeah.
but they're keeping an eye on it.
$50,000.
And they're hoping, like I said, for Saturday or Sunday to.
So for $50,000, it could be,
That's what I have.
All right. Just want to thank everybody for another great year and it's been one of those exciting years and I hope we're gonna have some good news soon. Although I think really good things have been happening. I get a lot of compliments about how the village is, how the employees are and how they treat people and how the village looks. Overman and Boys just wanted to give gift certificates to all the guys for the snow clearing and stuff because he said he came in at 6 in the morning and it was all perfect already, so.
If you've never seen them in action, do it, because
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like ballet.
yeah, it is. That's a good
Yeah.
description.
Yep, no, they do a good job. Do a good job, so. All right, do we need to go to executive session? Okay.
At 6:57, I make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss for New York State Public Officers Law, Article 7, Sections 104.